This video is about stone step installation, and I use 6-inch coral to go around it, so it's a real stone. I also did the railing, and I also did the stoop, and I did a separate video and actually putting the 6-inch stone on. I showed some of this, but I really went into detail here because this is kind of old school, and I want to show you how it was all done the way we used to do it before they were coming out with all that fake stone. So here we go. We're going to do away with these wooden steps, and we're going to make it out of stone steps. Now, first thing we're going to do with these steps is make a pattern. You know already that's 12 and a half, 12 and a half, 12 and a half, 12 and a half, and our top one's 12 and a half, and this is 48. Now, first thing you want to do is you want to make a pattern of the step. Then when we pour the concrete, it'll be right. We're going to get a piece of cardboard, an old piece, right? And I already got it 48 inches, and it's even. And then I'm going to trace the bottom. Then I'm going to take my pattern and test it. That's exactly where I want to be. Exactly. So now I'm going to take the pattern and put it in the form. So I'm going to breeze through this quickly, but I made the size of my steps right here. And I'm breezing through it quickly because I already did a video called Making a Concrete Stone Thread. We're going to be making 5 of these. So we want to make sure we're right. We know we're 12 and a half by 4 feet. We also know we should make a pattern where we're doing multiple, because then we know we're right. Because a lot of times you could be a 1/4 inch off or something and you ruin everything. That's why we always make a pattern. So for this project we're using the Saccrete high strength concrete mix, 4,000 psi. That means to 4,000 pounds. This is what I use on driveways and sidewalks, etc. So let's look at the back. And we look at the back, it says just add water and mix. Mix, it said. Add water and mix. Ensure that the concrete is mixed thoroughly. It says make sure that the concrete is mixed thoroughly and no dry pockets or slump. Do not listen to those dry pour people. This is the directions on the bag. That's my advice and my opinion. I'm going to mix this bag up like this. Now because it's outside and in the rain, there it is, Portland cement. I'm going to add a little bit more of Portland cement, and I'm going to put it in this container. So I would say about 3 cupfuls extra of Portland cement. I'm going to throw my extra Portland cement in for my own security. Then if you watch me make a step before, I'm just going to put a little bit in of this fiberglass you get from the cement company. Then mix it all up. Add my water. Mix it up. So that is it. That's about the consistency I want. And I make sure I mixed it with the water thoroughly. Now I'm going to put it in the form. Just shovel it in the form. I'm not going to make a big deal out of this. I'm just going to make it. And I'm just going to give it one of these. Right? That gets the water out of it, the bubbles. See that? That way you know it's sticking together. You vibrate it in there. Just like that. You get your little... We're right even with the forms. It's wet as hell, but we're going to just... What this does is you go around the first time and it gets the rocks away from the side. That's how we're going to do. And we got to wait because it's a waiting game. Okay, we're back about 40 minutes later. I don't know if you see the bird tracks here. Still a little wet. And I put it in a little wet, so I'll have to blame it on myself. But we're just going to go over it again. That's all. Not making a big project out of it. Just want to make sure that our edges are clean. And as it hardens up, it'll take shape more. Okay, we're back about a little while longer, and that looks pretty good. That will be the final coat and the finish that I want on it. I'm just going to go do the edges good, and we'll be all done with this. We're back 2 days later, and I'm just going to loosen this up, right? And we're going to get this out of the way, and get this to the edge and flip it up. So that's that. Clean this all up. And then we're going to pick it up like this and move it. Well, I got my steps already. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, for this side of the steps, we're going to get a piece of cardboard. We're going to put it against it, and we're going to make a pattern. How we do that, we have our pattern right up against here, and we know where the top of our step goes on each one. And then, if we follow this pattern, we can't make a mistake. Over here we have to know where our board starts. Like that. Now you got to remember, we made our step the thickness of a 2x4. You remember that? So that is going to be our step. And then we get our square. We know that step is square. And this is going to go right up into there. It didn't work. How come? And this is going to go right up into there. And then right here, where the step is, we're going to have a little joint. That's going to be our cement joint. We put this down, and we know we have to have a pitch. This is going to be our cement joint. Step. And we continue on with every one the same way. Now I got my pattern all done. I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to put it up against here, and everything is the way it's going to go. Now when I put my steps in, I'm going to match it to the pattern. I'm ripping this porch apart. Look at underneath. I got critters and ants. I want to show you that because of what I'm going to do in the future. Well, we can move these steps around. So I moved the steps over against the house just to see, you know, so we could get up in and down, and then we start walking in the steps. Look at a cat. And we said, wait a minute, we don't need no porch. We'll just do the steps here, and then we'll have all this extra room. And I looked under the post. Post is rotted pretty good. So we're going to get a couple new posts and move them. Well, we'll stop the video here because things got changed around. We found out it was better to put the steps right here. It was easier. It gave us more room. The water wasn't splashing on the steps and going into the screen room. So let me show you why I did what I did. So we changed things around. We put the steps in, and I moved it over because it's easier to get in the door. I wanted the steps here because now everything's under cover. before it was splash on the steps and everything's going into the screen room, and we don't want that. So look at how easy it is. You have to have landing by a code. That's why I put it here. And it's easy to walk in and open the door. Otherwise, you don't want the railing over here. And then we ended up putting the railing on. So then, let's keep going with the video from here. The first thing I'm going to do is just lay this out dry and see where we're at. So that block's going to go there. And this block is going to go here. And this block, I'm going to have to cut it. So we're going to mark our block where it's got to be cut on this side. And now we got our marks on both sides. So we just tap on the, you can actually hear it cracking. And then we go to this side and do this side. You can hear the different sound. See? There you go. That's how you got to do. And when you want to clean the block, use this part of the hammer and you go down. And that keeps it clean. Because if you hit it sideways, it's not going to go good. That's the old school way of doing a block. So for this job, I bought the pre-blended mortar mix type N. Now, am I a fan of type N? No. But it's block work and it's Florida. Portland cement. I'm going to add a little bit more of Portland cement. So now we're just going to add some water and mix it up. So when we're doing block work, we really don't wet it first. I lost my little level, so I'm going to put that up against there and look at it. That's where it's supposed to go, right? See me do something you never seen me do before, and it's because this is Florida. I'm going to fill this solid like this with the concrete mix. Look at how hard that stuff gets. Now we're continuing on in our block work, right? No big deal. Ain't gonna make no big deal out of it. This goes like that. That, see? When you shake it, it sticks. Goes like that. Then we just pick it up, drop it in. And then our last piece is this piece. Now, as you can see, I'm filling this all in with this Quikrete. I am not doing it for strength. This is going to get hard, and it won't be strong, and I don't want it to be strong. I just want to keep the termites from coming up into the wood. Because if I don't do that, we're going to get filled with termites and ants and bugs and bees. So that's the reason I'm filling this. The old days they had what they call FHA block, Federal Housing Authority. Top block was always capped. We don't have the luxury, so we're doing it ourselves. I don't want no bugs or ants living in my walls. So now that we got that all done, remember, shake your trowel. So now that we got that all done, all we want to do is block this up. And that's all we're going to do. Just do some of this and shove it in there. And that's it. We know no bugs are going to get in there. Nothing else. So I'm pretty much done with it. You see, if I went over the siding, then how would I get my siding out? That's a big reason I did it. Another reason is I do it this way and it's done. I don't have to go under there anymore. I'm not going to have any problems with critters or bugs or anything. I have my block laid. That's all done. Now I'm going to put my steps on here. The only thing is an issue is they ran a saw through here, and this was an expansion joint. And it did. It cracked and it expanded. And they have one over here too. Now if this was Pennsylvania, I would cut this out and put this on a whole different footer. But this is Florida. And I'm not worried about it because it only moved this much in 30 some years. Okay? But as we go, I'm going to show you what I'm going to do. First, I'm going to put some plastic down so it does not stick to the concrete. I want it to float on top of the concrete. I got my plastic down, and this is rebar, but this is not steel. This is fiberglass rebar. So I'm going to put a couple across this way to hold this bottom together, and I'm going to put one this way to hold the bottom together that way. See, I need enough room over here for my coral rock. I got some big pieces, so that's where that's going. Now I'm going to do the same to the other side. And put my block work in. I also have a piece of rebar going this way to hold it in. I'm going to fill in the steps, but this time I'm going to put water on it because I want it to last. I'm going to fill in the block with this. I'm going to fill this with some junk also, instead of wasting all my cement. And then I'm going to fill it with the concrete. So now we're going to do the next course. Put our little thing in here, go the opposite way, like that. Now the plans have changed again. We're just going to come up here with the steps, just like this. I saved these steps just so we could walk up and down them. Now we find out that according to Florida code, you have to have a landing. You can't just come up with the steps. I don't know who came up with that rule, but we have to be out at least 36 inches right there. So that's going to be out to about here, and we got to make our landing, and we got 48 inches, which is well within code. So instead of just going up, we're going to make a landing here, and we put the strings up because the strings is going to show where the stonework is going to go. And I made sure I squared off the building because this building is not square. And when we walk out of the building, big deal, when you walk out of the building, I don't know if you could see them, the lines, they are square with the building. Big deal. You don't want to come out here and it's not square. Made my mix up. Move this one first, and I just get the cement and put it down. No big deal. And put this right back in there. It's already set. That's good. I'm only worried about the bottom. Put that in. Right like that. Then put this one in. Pretty close to the line. Take your cement, put it in there. So okay, we got everything laid to the line. See that? We got to fill in the back after this. We're going to let it set for a bit. Now the cement, see that? The cement got a little bit harder. It set these stones pretty good. So now I'm going to go around and fill the back. Just like that. Then when we go to our next course, it'll be all ready. Now you know the drill. Go over it again with your finger. See if there's any bad spots like this. Get the back of your paintbrush like that. That's it. Get your water. Make sure you rinse the sponge out. But if you see any bad spots, take the sponge and get rid of them. Now, the further back the joint goes, the more stone you'll see. You don't like too much cement showing. And that's it. Tomorrow we'll continue on. Back the next day, I got everything filled in, and now I'm just looking around for some stones that are going to fit. I'm looking at it, face it up a little bit. That one will go there. This one, basically, is going to go in there like that. Now I've got to get something for in here, in there like that. Got one for over here, fits right in there. See that? Perfect. Push the cement in. No big deal. So I'm working with my steps, and according to my calculations, the pad's got to go out to here. Now I'm just building the steps like this, filling them in, and you can see what I'm doing. I'm just going to fill them into a certain height and then go from there. If you're watching me, I'm turning the coral, I'm tying it in to the blockwork. That, I know for a fact, is going to stick very well. See? Now I lay my other block here, and I keep ridging things. And I keep ridging things. Now I have to reach this line. I gotta make sure that I'm square, right? Gotta make sure that. I gotta make sure I got a little pitch so that when it rains, the water runs off. I also know with my stonework, I gotta come out 36 inches, which would be right there. Oops, gotta make sure you're right. 36 inches. I know that's where I have to come out to. Right here. And then the stone will go over an inch, so I'm going to have 37 inches. I went around and checked. So the job today is to get this up to this line. Okay. Now we're continuing on. Get ready. We're going to go up to this line. That's the goal. Get up to that line. We're probably going to do it today. It's about 8 o'clock in the morning. We got a good start. A little shim in here. It'll keep that from moving. Now I'm placing my coral pieces. Like I said, there's the line. You see? Make my mark. Maybe a little bit here. Maybe a little bit there. I'm going to cut that off. We'll see how we did with our piece. Goes like this. Here we are. Right to the line. That's where I want to be. Now when we get to our end, this is my end right here, 36. Before we even do anything, we go around and we look for anything that has a corner. And then make it fit. See, we're gonna, let's see, that had to come off, right? Right there. Like that. Is that close enough? Close enough. This one. Well, I got my corner piece right up to my line, and I install it in. No big deal. Reached our height. Now we're just going to do our joints, make it look a little better, and then we just get the sponge and water, clean it up. Now if you see what's going on here, I get that side done, this side done, I got my line up, and I'm putting my stone in front. Right to my line. See that? Now once we get the front all done, we could fill in this base with all the junk you want. Anything that fits. Now these are the threads I made. So I'm going to put one up on top and see how it works out. I laid my thread here just to get a good idea. I open the door, no worries, no problems, and I'm going to put my two sides on and fill the middle in. So now for my sides up on my top, I'm going to take one of these steps and cut them in half. One will go on this side over here like this. So I got it all laid out dry, and the door's going to open, no problem. We're all good. Now we got to fill in the center. Okay, I'm filling my top in with all kind of junk. It don't matter what you got in there as long as it's masonry. And that's it. We're going to lay our first stone. And the whole idea is to be even with that up in there. So we lay our cement down first, like this. And we know we're close here. So I'm going to do this with a level. Do this with the level. I want to see if it's level. It is. Now I'm going to get my sponge and some water. I'm going to wet the back of this. That is what's going to make it stick. It'll give me a little longer before it dries up on it. That's all in. Checked everything for square. Make sure that everything is going square. I'm confident with that. Water's going to run away. Tapped everything down really good. Now I'm going to fill my middle in. I put a piece of plastic down here. See it? Plastic to keep the concrete from touching the bottom. Only reason I did that is if this ever had to come up for any reason, it'll easily come up. It's not going anywhere. It's like tile work. You can get this up and change it down the road if you wanted to. Otherwise, you got to be here with chisels and hammers, and they're going to break everything apart when they start doing that. Okay. Now, we start filling it up. I got the whole thing poured. I'm just going to let it sit for a while. Got my edges, see? So I'm going to let it sit for a while and then come back to it. So, okay. This is all complete. Now we just got to let it dry. Okay, let's take a look at what's going on. I got my top in. I kept that wet, just so you know, last night. And I'm going to keep it wet today. But I got my pattern, and where my pattern starts, right here, that's where my stonework starts. My stone will fit on top. And then I come down here, I have my pattern for my next stone. Come down here, I have my pattern for the next stone. And the same thing on this side. If you have a pattern, you can't go wrong. I've seen a lot of guys go wrong because they don't use a pattern. Now, not only that, but I had a pattern for my stone. You see it? I know how my stone is going to fit. And when I look down, that's the way it's going to fit. So I wanted to show you that before I continued on and I do my next steps. Now, because we know where our pattern is, I'm going to start laying this out dry. So I know that everything's going to work. And once I get it all laid out dry, then I'm going to put cement there. Now I'm going with my pattern. You see, if you go with your pattern, you can't make a mistake. You see, more guys make mistakes on steps than anything else. I have my piece of rebar. This is fiberglass rebar. Never used it before, but I got it because I don't want metal, not in Florida. We're putting our stones in even with our pattern. So now I take my pattern away a little bit and I look in here, make sure they're straight and the way I want them. Now the same thing on this side. Go over here and I check my pattern. Right on. And I'm going to the line. That's the plan. Everything's set up. Make it simple. You wanna plan your shots. You know what I'm saying? When you're playing pool, right? And I wasn't a bad pool player. My neighbor used to beat me all the time. And I used to beat everybody else. But he was like, he just had that feel. And I think when you're doing stonework, you just have to have that feel. And the way you get to feel it is with a little experience. So, you go over to the side and you get experience. That's all, a little at a time, you figure it out. When I was a kid, we were still doing church work. And I went with the union out in Jersey because I knew how to do that. That's why they hired me. Because I knew that kind of work. And when they did that kind of work, they always send the new guy to the back of the building. The experienced guys that they knew well and they knew what they were doing would go to, I got lost here, the front of the building. That's how you knew you got quality work. I don't know what I did here. Maybe something crazy like that. Nope. There we go. Something like that. You always keep turning it. Turn it, turn it, turn it. And then something's going to fit. So this is my step. So that's my bottom courses in now. So now I'm going to start filling the back in. Like this. So, mix some of this quickcrete up. You want to get it down on that fiberglass rebar, just so she don't bend. And I doubt seriously that she will, but I wanted to test it out anyway. Okay, let's see our progress in. I brought it over here. This is loose. I always laid them out dry just to make sure. But do you see why this is so thin? If this was thick 4 inches, you couldn't see any coral. That's another reason why I did that. I'm interlocking it. This goes in, see? Then you fill it solid. That's not going anywhere. But I got to continue on with my last step. Continuing on, and this is all the coral I have left. So I'm really beating it, trying to make it work. You're going to ask me, Mike, where'd you get the coral from? Well, I was driving to Miami and they were putting in sewer lines. They ripped all the sides up and it was all coral. So they didn't care. They said, you mind if I take a couple pieces? They said no. So they got enough to do the whole steps. So now I'm using up all the old coral, throwing it behind here. And then after that I'm going to fill it up with concrete. Now we're just filling in the voids before we put the steps on. That's all we're doing. Alright, let's see where we are at. I dropped this by mistake and I cracked it, but that's no big deal. I'll use it for a template. I put them all in. I got my 7 inches. Everything's working out. And now I'm going to go lay them. Like I told you, you look down there, you eye them all up. Then you know you're close. That's another way to do that. I'm going to lay this stone, and I know it's really close to where it's supposed to be. Now I'm not going to wet this. There's no reason to. It's all going to stick on the bottom. Even if it didn't stick, I don't want it to, because if I ever change these caps down the road, I don't want to have a problem chiseling this all out. So let's do this. Get something decent. Put our level on it, because if it's level with the cement, and go over it, looks good to me. But I am going to wet the bottom of this stone. And that's going to do 2 things. That'll help make that stick. And at the same time, it'll keep the cement from drying too fast underneath it. So that I could pound it down with the rubber hammer. Working by yourself, shaking it like this too is a big deal. That'll seat that stone. Okay, it's down in the front. That's what I want. That's good. Like a little pitch on it. Want the water to go off. See the bubble? I don't know if you can see the bubble. Over this way. If it's that way, it goes the wrong way. So okay. Get our rubber hammer and we seat our stone. And that should be good. Okay, now we're just going to fill the back in, just like we did regular stonework, all the way through. Tuck it in. Some people call it tucking. Some people call it pointing. Depends on where you're from. Everybody's got a new word for everything. Like it used to be garbage man, now they're sanitation engineers. Then you used to go to the junkyard. Now it's salvage. It's a salvage yard, and they just keep changing the names to everything. So some people say masonry wrong. Yeah, we used to call it masonry. Don't forget, we learned from the old timers. All the new guys, they call it masonry. instead of masonry. So we're doing this all. Then get your sponge, make sure you wring it out. Just go over it again, just like you're doing regular stonework. No big deal. You want to make a mess out of it, you got to wring your sponge out. You can see this, wring it out. Get the bad spots and go over it. That's it. You want to leave a hole back there. You want to make sure the water runs off. And that is the end of the steps. Okay, we got the steps all done. The only thing we didn't do is tuck this in right here. We're going to do that now. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do in this case, I'm going to wet it first. Let that get down in there. Let it sink down in there because I want this to stick. It's not a big deal like others. And I'm going to sponge it off. Just like that. Sponge it off. And then I made up my little bit of Portland and sand. I want to get it down in there. That's the big deal. Get it down in there. Now this is all Portland. So I'm a Portland guy, especially for stonework. Get down in there. So it's a few minutes later and already it's getting hard. See it? So we're just going to go over it like this. Make sure there's no little holes that we left. Make sure everything's kind of scopocentric, whatever that means. And now we're just going to get our sponge, just like before, rinse it out, and go over it. That's going to make our joints nice and professional looking. See that? Evens it right out with the rest of the patio, just like patio stone. When you see me doing flagstone, same thing. Not a big deal. Clean it up. See that? Clean it right up. Now probably the last thing I didn't cover was you get these little holes. Now I could have taken care of it before, but it wasn't that bad. You can get a brick, you can rub the brick on it, and that'll bring it down. Then all you do, same thing, get your sponge and you wet it, right? And you get your cement, and just go over and you fill your holes in like that. See that? No big deal. You could spend time. Right now I'm just getting the big ones. It ain't that bad. Nobody's going to really notice that when it's your house. And then you get that all in filled pretty good. Same thing, you get the sponge, the flat part, and just go over it. That fills in all them holes. And you can do it a few times if you want to keep it close to the original. You don't want to build anything up. You're just filling the holes in. Or you get it on your sponge Just do it like that. They'll fill all those holes in. That's it. So that's it. I finished this. But back in the old days, the 60s, 70s, into the 80s, they'd come with a dump truck and they'd dump maybe 2 or 3 tons worth of stone. It was all quarried stone, so you know, you could pick your 4-inch or 2-inch or your 6-inch pieces and put it in. It was actually faster than using block. But down here I had to pick the coral out by myself, and I only had so much, so I made it work. But in the old days, built solid with stone, just like they did in Rome and anywhere else in the world. Now, out of this video, I took 3 different other videos, which was concrete porch stoop, where I just concentrated on the top because I have separate videos for that. Then the other one was stone veneer, when I put the 6-inch stone veneer in, separate video for that. And of course I built the wood railing myself, and I did a video on that. But I designed these steps, I put them on plastic. I could go around with all shims, pick these steps right up and move them if I wanted to do that. I've done it before. So that's it. Maybe you got some tricks out of this, I don't know. I appreciate you watching my videos. Thanks for watching. I'm Mike Haduck. I'll see you next video.